So, welcome back. This is episode 2 of Cops and Whatnot. Today I have with me Deputy Corey Mayo and his wife, Jessica Mayo. Welcome, guys.
What's going on?
So, Corey, tell us a little bit about yourself. What do you do? Where do you work? How long you been in the game?
I work at Richland County Sheriff's Department. I'm a canine handler there. I've been with Richland for a year and a half. I've been in law enforcement. This will be 7 years total. Um, I've only been with two departments. Richland's my second. My first one was City of Forest Acres. I started my canine career there and then moved over to Richland soon after I started my canine career over there.
All right.
But so far, been in the game 7 years.
All right. And Miss Jess, what do you do besides Corey's wife?
Well, that's a good point. It's a very high title to hold. I am a medical ortho tech. I fix people when they break themselves. Casting, bracing, I like the gory stuff.
I'll have you all know that she has fixed broken bones on my hand before. I gave her a lot of experience from a casting standpoint.
Yeah. Because someone had to fall on their taser.
Thank you again for that. Thanks for pointing that one out.
You're welcome.
All right, so Corey, your dog's name is Jax. Tell us a little bit about Jax and how awesome he is.
Jax is a 4-year-old Malix, and for those that don't know what a Malix, because I've heard different names for his breed, but he's just a Belgian Malinois German Shepherd mix.
That's usually a bigger version of a Mal, right?
Okay.
Yes. He's got the shepherd size and all the other attributes of a Mal. The docileness of a shepherd, and then everything else is very Mal. He's on the bigger side. He's a big boy. When I got him, he was 85 pounds. If you didn't know it, and I just let you meet him, you would think that he's a pet, because of how chill he is. I get that all the time. He is not a pet. He does not get to hang out in the house with the rest of the clan of canines we have here. But he's pretty chill. But he handles business when it's time to handle business.
That he does. What as a canine handler, what is the best attribute, or not best attribute? What is the best part of being a canine handler in your opinion?
Best part of being a canine handler?
Getting to pet the dogs all day.
It's multiple things. Definitely hanging out with a dog is up there.
He doesn't talk back. Actually, no, he doesn't.
Knowing that I have a partner with me all the time. I have basically backup on demand. With the type of dog Jax is, being a full service patrol dog. That's always nice. The training aspect of it keeps you on your toes. The work that we do, especially in Richland County, with our canines, it's always the hot calls. Something that's, most of the calls we go to are the more dangerous calls, if you want to call it. Obviously, in law enforcement, you never know. Every call can be dangerous. But definitely keeps you on your toes. So I like that aspect of it.
Jess, what is being not just an officer's wife, but the wife of a canine officer? What is the best part of him having a dog, other than you just get to play with the dog all the time?
I don't get to play with Jax all the time. He's a tool. I get to say good morning and good night, but seeing their bond, I would say, is probably the best, because I know that him and Jax will protect each other.
So you have more sense of comfort knowing that he's always got that safety net right there to back him up.
Yeah, the backup always.
All right.
Yeah, she doesn't. I will say she does not get to hang out with Jax as much as she wishes she could.
That's why I got my own Malinois.
I keep Jax very much a working dog at home. He doesn't get to come inside unless it's too hot or too cold. He doesn't really get to hang out with us at all. When he's at home, he's in his kennel, unless he's out getting going to the bathroom or eating. But he's always ready to go to work. When I come outside and he sees me in uniform, he's like, "Oh, time to go to work," and he gets excited then. So,
what I assume from I'm asking you these questions, so a lot of people know that I was a canine handler, but it's easier to ask you the questions than just get on here and talk about it myself. We'll talk about the incident with the sled handler canine. So obviously that's probably one of your most feared situations, is having to lose Jax in the line of duty. Would you agree?
right? Yes.
So
it's kind of it's a double-edged sword, if that's what you want to call it. Obviously, none of us want that. And I've had this discussion now with a couple of people since the incident, and obviously, like, it sucks no matter what. But other than your partner, living to old age and dying of old age, for me and for some of the other guys that I know who work these kind of dogs, that's the second best way, is knowing that your dog protected other guys and did work.
absolutely.
You can have heat related casualties. Your dog can drink some water with some algae in it and get killed that way. Friendly fire, unfortunately, is a big thing. Car wrecks, getting hit by other responding officers who aren't listening to the radio. So I mean, it definitely sucks, and I won't pretend like I know what it's like. Hopefully I never have to go through that, and I commend those who do. But like I said, other than old age, like, it's kind of the warrior's death when it comes to your canine.
Absolutely. And like along those lines, that's exactly how Rico went out, man. He protected Richard. He protected the other sled SWAT members out there. I mean, he definitely saved lives doing what he did, and it's tough and heartbreaking that he lost his to do it. But at the end of the day, that's the whole reason that we have K9 units, man. It's you help, you go out there, you find the bad guys, and if they're focused on the dog, they're not as focused on us, and that gives us a leg up going into the fight. So it's tough, but that's what the money's for when you buy a dog, man. So doesn't make it any easier. I doubt that's any solace for Richard. But
yeah, and I mean, like, obviously there's people that don't know how it happened, what happened. The only people that know what happened were the ones that were there.
Right.
But I mean, for the people who don't know, like, it's not a decision that we just, we're going to put a dog in there and find out if he's in there. They exhausted pretty much every other option before they put Rico in there. Rico was the last one, or the last step before putting a team in there. And if it wasn't for Rico going in there, that the bullet that he caught would have been meant for
Right.
a deputy.
Right. And we're not,
or athletic.
we won't give details of the actual call, but what we will say is that that they sent him in because they didn't know where he was. They knew he was in the house somewhere. They didn't know where in the house he was, and unfortunately, part of Rico finding and locating him is Rico. He lost his life, but like we said, it exactly what you said. Going in, sending him in was only possible because he was there. And if he wasn't, it would have been a human life. So, due to that, we thank him a lot. We thank Richard for his incredible training with that dog to be able to put him in there with that trust.
Yep.
So,
and I mean it's in the news, so I mean it's not a secret, but I mean there was an incident right after that with a wanted suspect in Harbison.
Yeah.
In a hotel room, and unfortunately the guy behind the shield caught a round in the leg, and so it sucks, but I mean the dog is there as a tool to keep officer deputy from losing their life.
And I would say, the numbers definitely back it up that there are a lot more peaceful resolutions to situations simply by having a dog present. Not even necessarily sending them or utilizing them in any other fashion than just bringing them out and having the dog there. I know we've both been in situations where we pulled the dogs out of the truck and, just the dog barking or the mere presence of being able to tell them, come out or we're going to send the dog in. People come out. I feel like some of those situations would have been if we had to go in, there would have been rounds flying. So, I think canine programs are extremely effective if used right, if you've got the right setup in your department with training and the knowledge. But it's also one of those things that it never stops the training. I mean, I know you've been to a conference before, haven't you?
I've been to so far. I've been to 2 decoy classes.
Yeah.
The second decoy class that I went to was very much a training / decoy class, but I haven't been to a conference yet.
Let's get into that aspect because a lot of people don't.
The goal is to go.
Go ahead.
The goal is to go next year. There's one in, it's either Myrtle Beach or Mount Pleasant. I can't remember.
When you talk about the decoy, so a lot of people think it's just you put somebody in a suit, you put them down there, you send the dog, you let them bite. And I'll be honest, when I first got into it, I didn't realize there was a lot more to it than that. We were always taught that the person in the suit is the one who's actually training the dog the most, and you can mess up a dog on his bite. You can, and once you mess it up, it's really hard to undo it. It takes hours to undo something that you can do in 5 minutes.
Yep.
Tell us a little bit about the hardest part about training, or what you find to be the most difficult part about being a decoy.
Honestly, most difficult part about being a decoy is summertime, the heat. It sucks, and those suits are hot, and they don't get any cooler going through. And then if you got multiple handlers swapping out the same suit, it gets wet with sweat, and it's gross. But yeah, decoying. When my first time in a suit was when I went down to Georgia to pick up my dog. Well, to pick out a dog, ended up picking up Jack's. He was the first dog that I caught in a suit. It was absolutely miserable. almost passed out because I was not ready for the heat in Georgia and being in that suit. And then I thought to myself, because I had done some research, obviously, beforehand, but I thought to myself, like, why would anybody like doing this? Because I know there's professional decoys out there, and like they look like they're having a good time. And then got my dog, started training at Richland at the time. I was at my other department, but Richland allowed me to come train with them. And obviously, like, I wanted to pay my dues. I wanted to learn, so I got in the suit.
A lot.
For their dog. Yeah, a lot. I got in the suit a lot. My back is not any better for it, but and then I really just started to enjoy it. And I was told, like, you're a decent decoy, you know. I was like, wow, I actually like doing this. I thought I wouldn't because the first time was miserable. I actually like doing it. And so that's why anytime I got to sign up for a class, I signed up for a class.
It's definitely something I think you get. I think when you first start, it's like, man, this sucks because you come home and your arm from your elbow to your shoulder is black and blue, and it stays that way, and then at some point it just gets to where it just becomes numb, and you start to figure out different ways to deal with it and different things to cope with it. But it's decoying itself, to be a good decoy, it's difficult. You got to learn, how to step, how to land, how to move.
Timing is everything with decoying.
Yeah, once the dog's on there, how to reward the dog. There's a lot more to it than just being in a suit and letting the dog bite hell out of you, man. It's
Oh yeah, and then you got to get past your new guy stage, obviously, because you get, if you're around a bunch of type A personality, deputies and guys, and they're like, oh, there's the new guy, let's nuke him for a long send, and nobody's ready for that. And the more I learn, it's like nuking somebody on a long send is not that good for a dog,
right?
And obviously not that good for a person because they can get really hurt, or they can hurt the dog if they're not ready for it. That's one of those traditions that probably need to die off. It's funny, obviously, but
it's funny. It's funny if you're not in the suit.
Yeah,
it's always funny if you're not in the suit. But then you remember when you were in the suit and you did it, and it's like, man, that sucks.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I think everybody ought to learn how to take a long send, but it's one of those things, like, you don't need to. It's not something you need to work on all the time.
Right. You basically just need to make sure, like, will the dog do it? If the dog will do it once, it'll do it 1,000 times.
Yeah, but it's all through learning. People have been doing it for years and years and years and years, and they're 40 years old and they look like they're 60 because they've been catching dogs for that long. So it's really important to stay in shape, for one. But yeah, decoying for me is, some people have been a canine handler a lot longer than I have been, and they still hate getting in the suit, but I kind of enjoy getting in the suit. So
yeah, like you said, there's a love-hate relationship with being in that suit, man. It's like, it's part of it is, you love being in that thing where you're that main trainer aspect for the dog during that moment. It's but man, you're not lying. In the summertime, it gets hot and it doesn't. There's never enough. There's never enough suits. Everybody. That's the one time that you have somebody, or you have everybody volunteer to go first. So.
It's also it's funny that we haven't learned, especially with our team, like, when we should change our certification, because our certification's around the summertime. And of course, that's when everybody needs somebody in a suit to work their out, so they haven't worked forever. So it's like, hey, I need people in a suit, and everybody's got to get in a suit, and it's all sweaty and hot. We should probably, trying to do our certifications towards the winter time, so that it's not so bad.
Jess, have you ever been in the suit?
No.
Are you going to?
Oh yeah.
I'll sign up, yeah. I'll take a bite, but in a soup.
Let her catch Max.
Max.
I would say let her catch Cairo, but I think he's put on a little bit of weight, so I don't know who the lightest dog is anymore. Is it still him?
Probably either. I don't know. Nevada's still pretty small.
No.
Is Cairo bigger than Nevada?
I don't know. I can't tell because Cairo always needs to be brushed. He always looks like he got picked up from the Orangeburg Humane Society.
I heard that for Christmas that everybody is buying Jeff Coat dog brush. That way he can have one everywhere he goes.
Terrible.
That's awful. My poor dog.
Jess, let's shift it to you for a question or two. What is outside of the obvious? What's the most difficult part of being a law enforcement officer's spouse?
Are you talking like canine or non-canine?
Just in general, just being a law enforcement officer.
So the disadvantage or the worry, or I'd say
the hours.
No, your hours are good now.
The pay.
I would say not being able to know or control each environment he goes into, but
I control each environment.
I mean, that's the part where you can't worry also, because you can't. I can't control the environments and situations he gets into.
Right.
Some I know about, some I don't. So
I'd
say that.
Does it bother you if there are times when he comes home and there's situations or things where he doesn't necessarily tell you everything that happened, and you may find out about it later?
From him or from in general?
Just in general. Well, the reason I asked is because I was having a conversation with Norton earlier about how there's a lot of things and situations that we come across during our shift and stuff like that even when you go home to your family that you don't feel comfortable talking about.
No, I mean, I understand because I grew up in a first responder family. So I understand that, you're not going to always tell what happened or, hey, this bothered me today at this scenario and such forth. But, I mean, no, it's
you just kind of let him tell you what he wants to tell you.
Yeah, because, I mean,
I think for the most part, I share a good bit, and I might just leave out some details that I feel she doesn't need to know.
Which is fair.
I mean, I think that's one of those things where, when you come home and, your wife asks how your day is, I think even in law enforcement, I think, when the question, how was your day or what did you do today comes up, I think there's some things that you expect to kind of catch you off guard, but I think there are certain things that if certain words came out of our mouths about what actually happened, it would, it could be something that might be hard for you to deal with at that moment, and that's kind of one of those questions that's you don't really want to detail thing right then and there.
That he was pointing a gun at me, or this, not that it never or has happened, but like it's one of those.
So it's like I said, it's always interesting to get the spouse's point of view of what we do, on a daily basis, because you get, when we first get into it, it's you come home, you're like, wow, this happened, and eventually I would assume you probably get a little numb to some of the things that we get numb to as well, as far as like seeing seeing videos or stuff where people are all in, Corey's face, or just some of the shit that he has to deal with on a daily basis. That you know, because we deal with it so often,
That's
it doesn't.
why, exactly.
The last ride along that she went with me on. I mean, there was
5, 10, 75s.
there's 3 homicides. We went to every one, and so she got to kind of see like
I didn't see it.
the top part of it, as far as like, oh, this is, and especially being like one of them pretty close to her house. Um, so I think it maybe humbles her sometimes
It
if if uh if I don't tell her some things. Maybe it's a more of an understanding of like, oh, okay.
Yeah, I think.
Yeah.
I think short of being in the military or being, in the hospital, like in the ER stuff, I think, the amount of death that, we deal with is something that isn't really talked about, but, it could be something that's hard on the family life because, it's not really something that you can bring up around the kids and stuff like that. So when it's just y'all two, it's kind of, you don't want to kind of ruin all that with talk of dead bodies or people shooting at you or things like that. So it makes it hard that you don't always have that as much time to talk about some of the things like that. Would you agree?
Yes.
Or do y'all talk about everything all the time?
Well, it's not that I like trauma.
Right.
The thing is like,
I like
because I mean, obviously, like, because we have so much of it, and she knows obviously when I work, and she watches, or she sees the news articles or Facebook posts, like, she can kind of put two and two together, especially because I don't work a certain region. She knows that I'm countywide, and obviously if there's a shooting with somebody actually hit, that I'm going to it.
Right.
So she
basically
kind of puts
all the
two
big
together.
calls. I mean, it's as a canine handler, if it's a major call, you're there, and that's
yeah.
It's real. I feel like it's real easy to get burnt out. Doing years of canine work, just because you work 12 hours a day, you're going to 5-6 major calls a shift, whereas the people on the road and stuff, they might get 1 or 2 of those.
I feel for the guys the canine handlers who work busy areas and who are attached to a shift to where they don't get free time. Like, they have to answer regular calls and they have to deal with the same stuff and still try to get their training in. Obviously at Richland, we have a luxury to where, if we're not on something canine related or helping out the region deputies, like, we get a pretty good time to get our training in.
Right.
So I think that's why that kind of sets us apart from a lot of other departments around the Midlands, is because honestly, I think we just train more because we're allowed to train more.
Right.
So I think if I was on in a busy area and still having to do canine stuff, still having to take DV reports and car break-in reports, and try to get my training in when I'm not typing a report, I think that'd be very difficult and probably very easy on the burnout. But I think we have that luxury to where we don't get that as much at Richland. So I think that's
right. And I mean, I think because of that, like you said, I think Richland's probably got one of the most well trained units, in the state because of that. I think you know, like you said, you know, you've got the times when you're out helping road units. You know, if they're slammed or whatever, you've got the ability to go over there and help, you know, clear out some of those calls and stuff like that. But at the same time, if there's no areas where the calls are holding or anything like that, you know, you go train, and it's if you're the only one out, there's still training that you can go do with just you and Jax.
Yep.
You know, Richland's really good about there's always somebody that's willing to go lay a track for you, or there's always somebody that you can con into getting into the suit.
I like to like when I first started at Richland, since I came with a certified dog, came over as a certified team. Richland had already was in the middle of retiring a bunch of dogs, so a bunch of people were out, and the canine shifts themselves were pretty short. So you know they put me right to work, and so I worked on my tracking and everything. That's something that's got to be all the time. But when I'm by myself, I like to work on a lot of environmentals, fences, because Jax is a big dog. You know, he's a little heavy. Some of the fences is big.
He's a little thick boy.
So I worked Jax a lot on fences, so he is. I gotta say he's pretty good on jumping fences. I just try to put him in kind of uncomfortable things for him, not to the point of he doesn't want to do them, but to the point like, it's okay, I can do this.
Bless you.
Like ladders.
Thank you.
I've worked on him with climbing ladders, and it saved my butt on a track where we got to the back of the house, or we were tracking through yards. The guy went over this probably 12-foot tall chain link fence that goes straight to the highway, and there was no way I was going to get me, my dog, and then my partner over there. Luckily, there was a ladder in the backyard. Threw it up on the fence. He climbed the ladder, lowered him down, and then my partner and I climbed the ladder, went down on the other side, and was able to track up to the highway where the guy got picked up in a car. But so I think little things like that will save you a lot of time. And it's obviously, like I said, it's something you can work on by yourself, kind of getting a little dog training aspect of it. But always, like I said, we're always good at, because we have time to train while we're working. So
let's switch gears a little bit. So when it comes to having a canine unit, especially one the size of Richland, I think y'all are up to what, 23 or 24 dogs?
Got 12 patrol canines that work the road full time, and then we got the three. We have fugitive, SRT, and now gang, and then we have a full-time bomb dog, and one of our patrol dogs are bomb odor instead of narcotics odor. And then we have, we have 2 dogs on gang right now. And then the handful of search and rescue and cadaver dogs. So yeah, we're up there some number past 15.
So when you get up to something like that, like obviously it's a very expensive unit. You know, outside of just the initial purchase of the dogs, you know, you got the cars that you got to buy that you have to specially outfit for the things. You know, all the cars have the cages, the heat alarms, which may be the absolute most important thing in the cars. The door pops. Yep. You got food bills, vet bills, kennel bills. And one of the things that Richland does is Richland, you know, they've got, you know, the Sheriff's Foundation and the Canine Fund and stuff like that. But y'all also have a group of women who Yeah, yeah, you knew it was coming. A group of women, lovingly referred to as the canine godmothers, and
Yep.
they, I believe Jess is. I think you're still involved with that, are you not? Yes,
I
no,
am.
but depending on I don't know how much time you have now with the job and stuff like that,
I do what I can. I help when I can.
but y'all, I
I
mean,
do a lot of
y'all do raise a
She made a lot
lot
of
of
feet
money.
and stuff.
yeah.
Y'all raise a lot of money. Purchase a lot of things that those dogs need. Important things that those
Look
dogs
at
need.
the news for it. Anything to get the dogs.
Yeah, those group of ladies. I mean, honestly, we would not have three-quarters of the stuff
Or
that
the
we
amount of
have.
support.
Um, I mean, and I think that the sheriff would probably agree. Everybody would agree that if it wasn't for those ladies and their work to get donations and
Their love for
the
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 dogs, I
love for the
think.
dogs, I
Yeah,
mean, we would not be equipment wise. We would not be where we should be.
It's also nice knowing
Um,
that having like a support group like that
yeah,
because
right.
and I mean, it's also like it's not even just stuff for the dogs they do. I mean, they load up our break room at the canine
Mm-hmm.
office with all kinds of terrible snacks for us, but drinks. Um, they're always setting up
pretzel.
Christmas
Yeah.
parties to
Holidays.
get the dogs, toys and
It's
goodies.
nice to have that, to feel like you've got people that care about the unit as a whole. Like I said, they don't. Obviously, they love the dogs and stuff like that, but they truly do love the team, the each individual team and stuff like that. I mean, it's they 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 try to take care of you as much as they take care of Jax. And like I said, just the amount of things, the Kong sponsorships,
Yeah.
the vest. I know George
Oh,
Sensor does a lot of
they
Liquor
put
bowl
in
concerts. Yeah.
they put in all the footwork to get us pretty much. I mean, 100% funding. I
and
mean,
it
because
makes it
it's no
easy.
secret.
It makes it easier to that you don't have to deal with that stuff on the side.
Oh yeah.
Let you focus on the
Um,
police work, the training, and not have to focus on fundraising.
yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's no secret that our canine team is not a line budget or is not a line item on the budget
Mm-hmm.
for the county. So I mean, obviously they would never let the dogs go without health care or anything like that. But as far as bite suits to train the dogs, leashes, collars,
Which
For the
all
medical.
the all the
with
all
the
the
bite suits. I mean, y'all, like I said, y'all got. I'll say 18 dogs that bite. I would probably say is a fair number. I don't know.
something like that.
Yeah.
So I mean, you got that many dogs that you're training daily. On the bite suits. Like the bite suits wear out and they're not cheap. They're anywhere between $600 and $1,200. 600 for a top, or $1,000,
Yeah,
$1,200 for the whole
about
thing.
1800 bucks,
Yeah.
1800 to 2 grand for a full suit.
So and that's one suit. And you put 18 dogs on a suit for 2 weeks, you've ruined the suit.
Yeah, suits
So
done.
you're going through several
The
several suits a year. So that's money that y'all need one that you don't have to go up to the sheriff and say, hey, when you get a chance, can
Or
we get some money?
Yeah, the ballistic vest. I mean,
Wow.
those are $3,500 a piece for 18 dogs. Is
And they all are
I mean,
custom made, and they don't transfer
yep.
from dog to dog. So if
no.
every new dog you get, brand new vest.
I mean, the foundation pays for the food. When they found out that we had switched foods, that wasn't maybe as good as it should have been. They were like, "Nope, we we gonna get y'all more, and you'll get the good food. So I mean,
So
they
and
did
it,
that for us.
like I said, it helps because not every agency, not every canine unit has that type of support system. So it, like I said, it makes it easy for you guys to continue focusing on the training and focus on having one of the best teams in the state. Um, and it's you gotta. I don't think you can thank that group of ladies and a couple guys. There's a couple guys in there. I won't say just ladies, but
Mhm.
it's a group that I don't think that they can get enough appreciation for what they do and for yourself as well, Jess.
I couldn't agree more. Stop. No,
Agreed.
it's mainly them. Yeah, it's really
um,
them.
but yeah,
The
there's
main ladies that.
I don't like I said, I don't know all of their names, and I know if I start naming them, I'll leave some out, and they'll make sure that I know that. So I won't name names, but it was something I always appreciated when I was there. And then obviously, another big part is the vet care, and y'all got one of the best vets in the state, in my opinion. Doctor Dr. Foy,
1,000%. Dr. Foy and Dr.
Dr. Brown,
Brown are incredible.
and their entire staff over there. They
Shout
absolutely
out to
love these
Sunset Animal
dogs.
Clinic.
Sunset Animal Clinic all day. If you don't know where it is, it's on Sunset Boulevard, right down from Lexington Medical Center. So, but no, Dr. Foy, Dr. Brown, outstanding vets. I think they care for these dogs about as much as y'all do, and they go through whatever links they can to make sure that those dogs are healthy and ready to go and can have your back the way they need to have them. So, like I said, I don't want to leave them out.
Definitely not.
But yeah, so that's a lot of stuff just for a canine unit, man. It's I don't think a lot of people think about all of that stuff. They just see a dog and say, "Oh, how pretty."
Fix it by. That's all that is.
Yep.
But is this something that you plan on doing till you retire, or what's
I'd
your?
like to. Obviously your first dog is a tough one to overcome, especially if it's a really good dog. And
Yep.
I think Jax is a really good dog. I think there used to be one of those things like you only get one in a million dog. I don't think that's true. I think it depends on how you pick it and how you train them. But obviously your first, I mean, that's your first one. Like that's
It's your first love, man. I will tell you, I don't know if
yeah,
I don't know if I could ever have a bond with a dog as much as I had with Kane. I think, Kane was a difficult dog in of itself, but I think a lot of it was that was my first dog, and they throw you into the fire quick, man, and it's just something I think, like I said, I don't like I said, I don't know if you ever. I don't know if you could ever beat that first one, man. But some people luck out and they get like their second dog is sometimes as good, if not better, than their first. And
yeah, 100%.
but like I said, it's hard to love one more than that first one, man.
It's almost like your first kid. You get your first kid and you're like, I don't think I could ever love somebody as good as or something as much as I love this one. And then you have a second one and you're like, well, shit, I can't just love the one. I gotta love them both.
Still a favorite.
They're I mean, honestly, they're just like kids. They listen a little bit better.
Sometimes.
But yeah, it's something I wanna keep doing, and then obviously you gotta look for the future too. So I mean, something I think I'd like to keep continue doing something with dogs even after I'm done in law enforcement, even if it's just
Cuddling.
training obedience with people's dogs, something like that.
little Shih Tzus.
Yeah, training them how to sit.
So, anything else you want to say or mention or anything before we wrap this up?
What about you? You want to mention anything?
No.
Sure.
Jess, I
Shout out to
know.
Sunset Movement.
I know.
Shout out to Kingdom Godmothers.
Jess, I know that a lot of people thank thank us for what we do, but I think being the spouse and family of an officer, I think it's something that is not thanked as often and should be commended more, because you also have to deal with the fact that every day you let him leave the house not knowing if he's going to come back, and that's something that you're also willing to.
You go the dog or him?
It depends.
Yeah, if she had to pick, it'd be Jax. I mean, she would want Jax to come home for me.
Oh,
But no, it's
training.
it's definitely something
Right.
that I think should be commended more often. 'Cause like I said, for us, it's easy for us to make that choice, because I think it's easier to go out and say, I'm okay with, giving everything for it, but I don't know if he'd feel the same thing about sending you out the house every day, not knowing if you come back. So it's just as hard of a thing for y'all as
Sometimes
it is for
I
us.
don't know if she's gonna come back, and not in a bad way, as far as like
Sometimes-
leaving this earth.
Sometimes you're upset she walks back through that door.
I want to go back in there.
He's so ridiculous.
I'm just saying, if you wake up in the morning, there's a cast around your face. I don't want you to have to question why. So, but I
Pretty
do.
good at it.
I do want to thank both of you guys for coming on here today and just hanging out and talking to us about the canine life. So,
Yeah, man.
It's the best life.
Corey, stay safe, brother. Jess,
You too, man.
keep working.
Don't break anything.
If I do, I know who to go to. But like I said, thanks again, guys, and we'll talk later on.
Yeah, man.